Hello! In this movie I'm gonna show you basic gameplay of the MBT, main battle tank, the game of tank-to-tank combat on the tactic level in 1987 Germany. Please take care that English is not my first language, so I'm pretty sure I will make some minor or major mistakes, but I hope my English will be at last understandable, and somehow you will find this material helpful. As for the game itself, it is one of the most complicated games in my collection, save to the Advanced Squad Leader. I purchased it about half a year ago, and I have to say I really enjoy this game. As for the rules, there are two rulebooks. First, basic game rules. It has about 20 pages of rules themselves, saved to the index and stuff, and these are not very complicated rules. I'm gonna use only this one for this particular gameplay, but the real fun starts here. These are advanced game rules, and they have 72 pages of rules, and they are using all these rules and these. I guess it's important to note that as for the 72 pages, only about 50 of them are obligatory. The other 20s are optional rules you don't have to use. Still, even here, authors made this game as quite modular, so you can use even parts of these advanced game rules if you want to play with basic rules. The thing I found quite problematic in this game is that there is a very small number of the small scenarios and just one for the basic game rules only. So you have to jump on the deep water very soon if you want to play this game. As for this movie, I decided to make a small skirmish between 3 tanks on each side, 3 American M16s and 3 Soviet T-62. I will use only one board, set number 7, and 3 tanks on each side. For this movie I'm gonna show you exactly how the basic rules works for the tank-on-tank combat. There will be nothing more, just the tank and just the tanks on both sides, to show you everything which is important in the basic rules. There are 2 expansions for these games, so far, British Army of the Rhine and Federal Republic of Germany, but these are both very expensive and out of my financial reach, so I will not get them soon. But if you will enjoy this movie and if it will be understandable and helpful, I might do more of them with some of the advanced rules in the next gameplays. But as for now, I'm gonna use 6 turns for this game. I'm pretty sure it will be enough to show you everything I want. Let's start the game then. We are starting with orders. Each side has a number of the orders it can use for its units. In the advanced rules, the number of these orders is strictly limited. But since we are using basic rules, we can simply give one order for each of our units. What orders we have? We have move. It is basically an order to march. You are using all the action of the unit to move it on the board. There is a fire. Unit is not moving, unit just fires to the enemy and fires more effectively. But it cannot move at all. Short halt. Short halt allows your vehicle or unit to fire and then move with the limited number of its movement points. Overwatch. Overwatch is simply order to guard and fire if you see an enemy. Vehicle is not moving, is not firing in its turn, but if any of the enemy unit enters its range during its own movement, our tank may shot to such enemy. And finally, no command. If unit get no any of these 4 orders, it gets this one instead. It means just nothing. Unit just stays there, makes no moves, makes no fire, just waits for the further commands. When you are starting the game, the first phase is always spotting phase. In this phase, you are checking if your vehicles may see any of the enemy vehicles. Since we are starting the game and this is first turn and there are no vehicles on the board, we can skip this phase. The next phase is the command phase. In this phase, each player places command counters on his units. I'm gonna use move commands for all these tanks here. So I'm gonna place it in this way, so enemy can see what kind of order I am giving to my unit. Same goes to the Soviets. Oh, sorry. There is a window. We have a sunny spring here and here. Sorry. Okay. Next, we're gonna check which player has an initiative. It is not important in this particular moment, since both sides just want to move. But when the game goes on, and if you want to fire to the enemy, the player who gains an initiative has an option to fire first. So, a roll for Americans, it goes 22. And for the Soviets, we have 57. So the Soviets are moving their vehicles first. Like I said before, each side has only 3 tanks in this game, because I want to make it quite easy and fast, to show you the mechanics of the game instead of playing whole scenario, showing you tactics and everything else. Now let's take a look on the counter. As you may see, there's not much of the informations on the counter, because most of the informations are in the vehicle card. As for the counter, we have what kind of vehicle it is, silhouette of the vehicle, and movement ratio. There are 3 movement factors on the counter. First is the terrain movement. How the unit moves on any terrain save to the paths and roads. Next, we have what kind of movement vehicle utilizes. This one is the tank, and it has tracks, so it has T. Next, we have path movement, if unit moves through the path, and then road movement, if unit moves through the road. All the Soviet tanks starts on the clear terrain, so they can't use road or path movement, so they will move with their 5 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, when unit makes a move or something else, the order has to be revealed. Next, when unit makes a move, you have to place spot move counter next to it. It shows that unit made a move, made some rumor It is more visible now and easier to spot for the enemy. Let's move the other Soviet tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of them has movement command, and each of them has a spot move. So, oh, that's right. Now let's go to the Americans. American tanks are starting from this side of the board. As you can see, there is a road here, so they are about to use it, of course. They have 11 movement points to spend on the road. Also, I think it is important to note, a road allows you to move on the terrain without paying movement points that you would have to pay if you would move for this kind of terrain. It lowers the cost of entering hill by 1, so it's pretty good. Also, one more fact I should state. When you are moving in this game, you can make a move and make one free turn without paying any additional movement point. But if you want to turn more by 1 on the one hex, you have to spend one more movement point. So I will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This tank gains spot move and move command. As for the stacking, you can stack at last no more than 6 vehicles on the one hex. It is pretty big number, I guess. So I'm gonna move next American tank in the same way. It ends movement on the same hex, so it shares the move and the spot move counters. As for the remaining American tank, I'm gonna make it move to this hex, but it will turn here and finish its movement on this hex. It gains spot move hex, spot move counter also, of course. And this ends first turn of the game. At the end of the game, of the turn, in the adjusting phase, it is called like this, no, it's adjustment phase, we are removing all the orders from the board and we are moving to the turn 2. I'm gonna place the camera in this way so you'll be able to see everything better, I hope so. Okay, we have turn 2. We are starting with a spotting phase. As you may guess, none of these Soviet tanks may see American tanks, mostly because there is this big hill on their way, but take a look. Maybe this Soviet tank may see these American tanks that are moving out of the woods. We have to check it out, just to be certain, because it's quite important part of the game. First, we have to check if these vehicles have line of sight between them. Line of sight is checked by taking middle part, there is a white dot here, of the hex. Then we are taking other white dot on the other hex, and we are driving a line between these two dots. If there are no obstacles between them, there is a line of sight. So I'm gonna use this to check if there is a line of sight between these two hexes. As you may see, there is no line of the sight, because we have a hill on the T7 hex that blocks our line of sight. So no no tank can see enemy tank in this turn. That's why we are removing all the spot counters from the board. Next, we are placing in orders. As for the Soviets, I will use move, and as for Americans, I will do the same with move. Next, let's check who will win an initiative in this turn. Americans 48 and Soviets 90. So Soviets. Okay. Let's move our Soviets. First this tank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you may notice, it entered the road, but since it started its movement on the terrain, it can only use its 5 movement points still. I'm gonna place spot move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move and spot move. And then this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And spot move. Okay. Now, time for Yankees. First, this upper tank. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that I have to pay 1 additional movement point because I turn this tank twice. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It ends its movement here and gains spot move. Now this tank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, time for the turn 3. We are starting with a spotting phase. As you may clearly see, these 2 Soviet tanks aren't visible for any of the American tanks, mostly because of this big hill here. Same goes to this American tank, so we can remove their spot markers without problems. But here is a different situation. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hexes range between these 2 tanks. Basic spotting range for these tanks is 15. As you may see, here spotting ranges. These are L-class vehicles, so they have 15. But since both of them have spot move markers, we are moving 2 levels, 2 verses up to the 30. So even from the 30 hexes they would see each other, so we are keeping their spot markers. But how about this tank? It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hexes. Range between this American and this Soviet. So we can say that this American can see this Soviet tank. But the question is if this Soviet T-62 may see this American M60. Why? Because this American tank is in the woods. Woods gives medium cover, and medium cover gives -2. So let's return to the spotting ranges table. We have basic. We are moving 2 up because of the spot move counter, and -2 because of the medium cover. So we have 15. But since there is 13 hexes between these two tanks, they can still see each other. So we are keeping spot move for this American tank as well. That's for the spotting phase. Let's move to the orders phase. I'm gonna give orders to the Soviets first. Gonna make these two guys move. As for this one, I'm gonna make it fire and move. Now for Americans. I guess this one can hear the tracks of these two Soviets rolling, so I will make it wait for them with Overwatch. This one is well hidden in the forest, in the good fire position. I'm gonna make it fire, and this one will make a move and fire. Okay, that's all when it comes to the orders. Let's check who will gain an initiative. As you may guess, it will be very important here, because we have some tanks who are about to fire, and the player who will win an initiative will be able to fire first. I'm gonna roll for Americans. Oh, no good. 21. As for Soviets, 0 and 9. So, Americans are firing their tanks first. Let's make this one fire first. It has spot move, and it has a short halt, fire. I'm gonna place it on the fire side, and it aims on this Soviet tank. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hexes range. So we'll be using short range. If it would be 6 or less, we would use point blank. But since we have more than 6 but less than 12, we'll be using short. Next, let's move to the modifiers. First we have to check AP hit basic number, and it will be 70, because it will be short and 0. But now where the modifiers are going on. First, we have to know if enemy is moving or not. It has spot move. It has short halt order as well, so it is on the move. This is important part of the game. When the enemy player fires at your tank, you can tell him that your tank is moving, but you are not obliged to tell if it's short halt or move order. You may just say, my tank is moving. So, because of the tank is moving, player gains -2. So we are moving from 70 to 56. Next, since it is short halt, we have to check what kind of stabilizers our tank has. American tank has stabilizers too. So it will be short halt -2. Now we have -4 totally, so from 70 we are moving to 42. No good. Let's make a roll. I rolled. Oh, sorry, you should see it. I rolled 13. So even now Americans scored a hit, because it is less than required number. Power of American gun is 96 on the short range. Power of the Soviet armor is 51. In the advanced game we would use all these factors here, but in the basic rules we are using only these two below the card. So we have 96 and 51. This is clearly a hit, and the Soviet tank is destroyed. There are different kind of result of the hits. It can be enemy tank can be burned up, so it is destroyed and also produces a pillar of the smoke. It can be simply KO'd, or it can be damaged. If it's damaged twice, it is eliminated. So this tank, I should change the spot counter from the spot move to the spot fire, and move this counter on the short halt move. Now this tank can't fire on the enemy. I'm gonna reveal its counter, but it can't see any target in its range, so it will do just nothing. Now let's make a moves. American tank may move with the half of its movement allowance. 1, 2, no more, and that's all. And now Soviets. 1, 2, oh no, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now American tank uses its Overwatch order to fire on the Soviet tank. Now, as for the Overwatch, it has -1 because of the Overwatch and -2 because of the target moving. So we have totally -3. We are firing on the point blank because enemy is in the 1 hex range, and in the up to the and 6 or less hexes range we have point blank. So we are using point blank. Basic AP hit is 90, and we are moving 1 down because of the Overwatch and 2 because of the enemy moving, so we have totally 63 hit. I'm gonna make a roll for this. I rolled 15. So Soviet tank is hit. And strength of the gun is 110. Soviet armor is 51, so it's totally enough to burn the Soviet tank down. Oh, here I'm gonna place a spot fire on this, and sorry, I just forget to place a spot move on this. And that's all for the turn 3. Soviets lost three of their tanks. Wow, that was pretty extreme. I'm gonna remove all the orders from the board, and we're moving to the turn number 4. Now, spotting phase. I guess Americans can't see the remaining last one Soviet tank because of this hill here. So we are removing all the spot markers from the board. And how about others? I guess Soviet tank will try to evacuate, while Americans are about to purchase it. Oh, sorry, I should place these counters like that. And that's all. Let's check an initiative. As for Americans, 88, and Soviets, 73. Oh, sorry, 37. So Americans are moving first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spot move. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Spot move. And I think I should give this one Overwatch instead. 1, 2, 3. Now our Soviet, what should it do? Nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Guess it will be eliminated in the next turn. I should place a spot move here and spot move here. Okay, and that's all for the turn 4. Let's remove this. And we are in the turn 5. Gonna remove spot marker here. Here, this American tank can't see this Soviet because of this hex, heel hex here. So spot goes. But now the question is if these two can see each other. Where did I put? Oh, here it is. Yes, I guess they can see each other without much problems. So Americans are gonna fire on them. This is about to move, and this is gonna Overwatch if the Soviets would try to escape. As for the Soviets, now, what to do? Let them try to escape. Maybe they will. The question is who will win an initiative this time. For Americans, 67. As for Soviets, 09. So Americans win an initiative, and of course they are about to fire. American tank is firing on the Soviet tank. Soviet tank is about to move. So Americans have -2 modifier because of the target moving. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes range. So it will be point blank. -90 -2 gives 72. Make a roll. Oh, I rolled 55, so the Soviet tank is hit, and since it was hit from behind, it is using its rear armor, and its rear armor is 19. Even more enough to destroy this poor Soviet guys. Oh, I made a mistake. Sorry. This hit was illegal. I never noticed that I thought it is on the same level, but it is one level below. So this tank, this Soviet tank, can't be seen for this American. So this fire was illegal. It gets spot fire, but it can't hit an enemy. It goes as a miss. I'm sorry for that. So Soviets are moving. Sorry, Americans are moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Soviets. 1, 2, and here this one uses Overwatch.